Hello and welcome to session 5 of Unit 6. This session will introduce you to nuclear waste management. This is because many applications of radioactivity leads to the generation of nuclear waste, which has the potential of destroying the same life it intends to protect. By the end of this session, you should be able to identify the various forms of nuclear waste, and you should be able to explain the hazards associated with nuclear waste. Let us look at nuclear waste. The question we ask is, what are nuclear waste and how are they managed? The nuclear waste that are generated from nuclear reactions can be grouped into three. We have the high level waste, low level waste, and intermediate level waste. The high level waste from any nuclear reactor is the used nuclear fuel left after that nuclear fuel has spent about 3 years in the reactor generating heat for electricity. The high level waste makes just about 3% of total volume of waste arising from nuclear generator, but they contain 95 of the radioactivity rising from the nuclear power, which means that even though very small amounts of high level waste are produced, they contribute immensely to radioactive waste and they can be very dangerous. The next is the low level waste, and this waste is made up of lightly contaminated items like tools and working clothes from power plant operators. The low level waste represents 90% of the total waste of the radioactive waste, but it contains just about 1% of radioactivity, which also means that even though high level of this low level or high amount of this low level waste is generated, it contains only a small fraction of this radioactive waste in the surrounding. The next is the intermediate level waste, and this might include used filters, steel components from within the reactor, and some effluents from processing. The intermediate level waste also makes just about 7% but contains only 4% of the radioactivity. In this slide, we shall be looking at managing used fuel. Now, to manage used nuclear fuel, you must know that the used nuclear fuel is very hot and radioactive, and so it must be cooled before handling and storing. The plant workers must be shielded from the radiation it produces by a dense material like a concrete or a steel, or by a few meters of water. We are mentioning water here because the water can serve a purpose of a coolant. So the water can be used for cooling and at the same time can be used for shielding. So a typical reactor will have its fuel removed underwater and transferred to the storage pool. Also, after every 5 years, the fuel can be transferred into a dry ventilated concrete container. It can safely remain in the pool indefinitely, usually for up to 50 years. Let us look at how to manage radioactive waste. Nuclear power system remains the cheapest source of power to drive industries and electricity. However, handling of waste from these nuclear power systems is always a challenge to humans. Countries that are usually involved in generating nuclear power dispose their nuclear waste through large water bodies such as oceans, the sea, and the likes. However, this waste goes round and come back to humans again. Now, when you study the diagram down here, you realize that if the waste is deposited into the lake or the river, it end up getting into the soil. Plants will pick it up. When the plants pick it up, then animals will pick it from the plants, and then humans will end up consuming it from the plants. Or when in the ocean, it will sediment, and then after sedimenting, the planktons will take over. The planktons will be consumed by the fishes, and then humans will also go in for the fish, thereby human coming back to this radioactive waste. The Environmental Pollution Agency has approved that one of the ways we can store radioactive waste is by burying them in underground chambers, which are about 2,150 feet deep the ground. However, the means by which this waste can be transported to the site for burial is another issue. Should we transport them by rail or should we transport them by truck? Because at the end of the day, the radiations will still be exposed in the environment. Another safe way by which we can handle this radioactive waste is by casting this waste into ceramics to eliminate the possibility of the waste dissolving in underground water. We can also safely dispose of this radioactive waste by storing long-lived radionuclides gotten from spent fuel underground in heavy shock resistant containers until they decay to the point they are no longer biologically harmful. But there is also a problem with this method because the containers could corrode, and as such, critics argued for picking holes in this method. Let's look at disposal of high-level waste and low-level waste. High-level waste, they require shielding and cooling before disposal. Low-level waste, they can be handled easily without any shielding. To dispose of the low-level and intermediate waste, we can bury them close to the surface. But the high-level waste, they remain highly radioactive for thousands of years, and so they cannot be buried near the surface. They need to be disposed of deep underground in an engineered facility built in a stable geological formation. However, such facilities for disposal of high-level waste are not operating currently. And so there are some countries that are really working on designing and constructing some of these facilities to dispose of high-level waste. These are some few self-assessment questions which I want you to have a look at them.